Rocque, and I am a host and content creator for AURN, and you are watching Intersections. Today, we are at the Tsion Cafe in Harlem, but not just anywhere in Harlem. This is the historic Sugar Hill. I am here with chef and founder of Tsion Cafe, Beejhy Barheny. Thanks for having us today.
It's my pleasure.
So tell me about Tsion Cafe.
Tsion Cafe was established in 2014 to provide a healthy food and, of course, introduce the rich culture and cuisine of Ethiopia, and of course celebrating African cuisine as a whole. We are a bit different than a typical Ethiopian restaurant. We harmonize flavors from the Middle East, New York, and Ethiopia, of course. Okay. So we integrate delicious flavors from the African diaspora.
Nice. And there's also a really nice bit of history about this place, right? Like, because there's a photo of Malcolm X who used to work here at one point. Tell me more about the history.
Yeah, it's very exciting. Back throughout the time of the Harlem Renaissance, this used to be Jimmy's Chicken Shack, and this is where Malcolm X worked as a waiter. At the same time, he met Red Fox. And around that time as well, I would say Charlie Parker working here. And of course, you would see people such as Art Tatum performing here, or Billie Holiday. So Art Tatum is basically the influence to Charlie Parker. So all these great people that walk through those doors are, I would say, a great honor, and is a legacy that we want to celebrate it. For me, as a Harlemite New Yorker, I wanted to incorporate all of that as well, the history, the legacy. So we have drinks honoring those people, if it's the X, Red Fox, and so forth. Nice.
So this is basically a blessed location.
It is, yes.
Awesome. And so tell me about some of the dishes we're going to go through today.
Well, you know, Tsion Cafe provides, as I say, Ethiopian and Mediterranean. So it goes from shakshuka to malawach to ful, and to the traditional Ethiopian dishes, such as veggie combo, which I will show you, and traditional dorowat. So it's many, going even to jollof rice, which is from West Africa. So we're all celebrating the rich African cuisine.
Nice. Where do you stand in the jollof wars?
Well, there's no need for wars here. Nigerian is delicious, Ghanaian is delicious, and many more.
Agreed.
So the unique aspect of our jollof rice is that we put traditional Ethiopian spices, what kind of make it a bit different. So, we all have to honor and celebrate. Of course, the origin of jollof rice is Senegal, from that area. Yep.
Awesome. And I can't help but notice there is a bottle of hot sauce over there that says Tsion on it. Tell me about that.
So we do have our in-house products, such as the hot sauce, even the berbere blend. It's a berbere. It's a spice blend that contain about 17 spices, and that what make the Ethiopian cooking very delicious and aromatic. I would say it's the berbere blend itself, going from chili peppers, coriander, cinnamon, clove, you name it. You will put about 17, blend them together, and whenever you're making a delicious dorowat, a traditional Ethiopian stew, you infuse it in that, it's going to be delicious and spicy and aromatic. Beside that, we have different food products that we are looking to launch as well, going from the different stews that you're going to sample with me, from ground chickpeas, red lentil, yellow split pea, and so forth. Ethiopian cuisine is very much healthy, gluten-free, vegan, before it became trendy. It didn't engrave within the culture. So, it's exciting.
Got it. And of course, we are in New York, like we said. And I think sometimes, New York kind of has this reputation of like people being cold and distant. No one looks you in the eye and talks to you. But I think people from outside maybe don't realize how important like certain neighborhood institutions are, like small businesses like this one. So tell me about how the neighborhood has really shown up for you.
Overall, Sugar Hill is the place, is historical. When we first opened our doors in 2014. We received a very warm welcome and support, and here we are, 8 years after, still
Even
here.
after the pandemic.
And survived pandemic. And the community is like a cultural hub. It's a community place where people come, do open mic. The art behind us is local artists. Many other activities that create this connection between the community and everybody else that try to come in to the neighborhood and so forth. And beside that, the Ethiopian food itself is very much communal. It's all about sitting and eating and sharing and feeding one another. That's the culture.
Awesome. And speaking of the art, which is very lovely, I've been looking at all of it. I heard that you swap out from time to time.
Yeah, we do rotate the art every 4 to 6 months to display, and eventually if people want to purchase it, they can buy it.
Nice. Well, I think we got a good amount of history and info about Tsion Cafe. Why don't we get into some of the goodies?
Sure. So I'm gonna bring some Ethiopian food.
Okay.
And I would say the staple, I would say the main dish that a lot of people associate Ethiopian cuisine with is the veggie combo. It's an array of vegetables sitting on a flatbed injera. Let me go and bring it for you.
Nice, okay.
Okay. This is our veggie combo, our veggie platter. This is the ground chickpeas, shiro. This is yellow split pea, kikalicha. This is red lentil, misirwat. This is gomen, collard green. And this is tikal gomen. And this is cabbage, potatoes, and carrots on the delicious bread called injera. It's a national Ethiopian bread. Native to Ethiopia called injera, usually made from the grain called teff. Teff naturally is gluten-free. In this case, we mix it a little bit with wheat just to balance it out in terms of expense and so forth. But if somebody wants gluten-free, we can definitely make 100% teff alone. Okay. And as I said earlier, Ethiopian food is all about sharing, eating together. You're supposed to be considerate of of the people who are dining with you. In some points in the beginning, you will bless on the food, and you will feed one another, which is called gursha. Okay. So as I told you, we feed one another. You are our guest here. Okay. So I take a piece of the injera, and I'm gonna pick up a little bit of yellow split pea, a little bit of the shiro, and give you some gursha, open big. You ready?
Got it.
You got it?
Okay.
To your health.
Big mouth.
Enjoy.
And then am I supposed to feed you that as part of the custom? Or?
You could, if you wish, but it's okay.
Okay. She said no, girl.
Not at all. But you see, as I said, the whole communal aspect, that is traditional way to sit around the basket and eat together. As an Ethiopian Jew, as I said, there is, I was born in Ethiopia, but I grew up in Israel. When I was very young, we emigrated from Ethiopia to Sudan. It was a whole journey of a couple of months. From there, I emigrated to Israel. And the reason Ethiopian Jews emigrated to Israel was because of their faith. I come from one of the ancient Jewish community in the world. Okay. Who have been practicing Judaism like ancient Hebraic people. So in terms of, for example, today is Friday, the observation of the Shabbat is a Friday night. People get ready ahead of time, preparing for the Shabbat from Thursday. So midday Friday, you don't need to do any labor. Okay. This is according to the old tradition, how you're supposed to welcome the Shabbat. And Shabbat is a day of resting, reflecting with your family, giving thanks. Is the seventh day that we're supposed to rest. So it so happened to be that today is Friday. So it's an honor to have you here.
So cool.
Yeah.
Thanks for the explanation too. Like even just going back to the feeding, Because I went to an Eritrean wedding, and someone's relative was like trying to walk me through the process, and like they fed me, and I was like, what? And like it caught me off guard, but it was nice. Like it felt very communal, and like I was like, oh, that's actually kind of sweet. I didn't know what was happening, but that was actually kind of sweet.
You see, it kind of breaks the ice. You feel when somebody is feeding you, that act of friendship, love. What else can we go? They're getting there already, feeding you, and I think it's a beautiful tradition that people within the West need to adapt. And eating with the hands actually has a lot of benefits, which is. Your brain will release different oils and minerals that actually help you with your guts. So again, it's very healthy and beneficial to eat with the hands, that is the first utensils that we've been given. So why not utilize it and enjoy it?
This is nice. It's nice on its own. The hot sauce. I told you I'm obsessed with hot sauce.
Enjoy.
Nice kick.
And you should try the berbere.
So how did you end up in New York?
New York. I would say that my first encounter was back in the 90s when I first to travel after my army service. I just wanted to explore the world. Took my backpack, came to North America, and basically kind of traveled the whole of the Americas in a way. Going from North America to Central and then to South, going to Machu Picchu, all those places. And this is where I actually practice or learn Spanish. So it was intriguing opportunity for me to go and explore, and I wanted to know about different cultures, and it was fascinating encountering with the Incas and the Mayas and all of that stuff.
That is awesome. And also, we had this really good tea, this hibiscus tea. There's a story behind it, right?
Yeah, it's quite unique. This is tea from the rebus plant in South Africa. It's like hibiscus, very delicious and bright in color. Yep.
Very healthy, very good for you.
I mean, as what I can tell you overall, a lot of the nutritious or even the origin of mankind comes from Africa. It's not news to many people, I hope. But, Ethiopia is the birthplace of mankind. We can go back to Lucy, and there's even older remaining that they found in the southern of the Afar region, 2 million year older than her. And of course, Ethiopia is the birthplace of coffee as well. So we take a great pride in it. And we want to show and celebrate our delicious cuisine, food, coffee, and so forth. And another point I want to emphasize is that Ethiopian is the only African country, nation that never been colonized, and we celebrate that and we showcase who we are all the time.
Awesome. I think information like that is definitely important for people to know, because you would think that maybe people know, but I don't know. Sometimes, like especially now, like how they're trying to take Black history out of certain states, like they're trying to remove that type of education from certain schools, and like even how Black American history connects to the diaspora and back to the continent. There's so much to learn, especially like when you come to different neighborhood restaurants like this. So,
of course, there is a long history, I would say, even within Harlem itself to Ethiopia. When the fascist Italian tried to occupy Ethiopia, actually a lot of African American pilots went volunteer and help fight the Italian. So it's very relevant. We're talking about African American history here in Harlem. So as an Ethiopian, to come here and establish a business celebrating the the rich African cuisine, as yet what Harlem had in connection with Ethiopia, it is a great honor to be part of the Harlem community here.
I grew up in Harlem, East Harlem, and Harlem was my first introduction to Africa and the diaspora. So I hope to travel one day to Ethiopia.
Of course, if you ever watched History of the World according to Mel Brooks, so you will see that when all of them in ancient Rome, the different philosophers will come and perform in front of him, and there was this guy, which was, I don't remember which man was, it was a comedian, and they asked him, so where are you from? And he say, I am from Ethiopia. What part of Ethiopia? 125th Harlem.
Hey, what country are you from?
Ethiopia.
What part?
125th Street.
So that's, we've always been there. So that's a funny anecdote.
I'm spoiled. I've definitely had Ethiopian food before, but I've never had the full tour. And so this is really cool. And I feel like anyone watching this that's never had Ethiopian food, you don't know what you're missing. Like, you need to try this. It's so good.
Enjoy.
I don't care about being cute.
Well, that's the whole, enjoy, be yourself. Yeah.
And so one of the things, because, like I was just saying, like, recommending that people who haven't tried Ethiopian food should try it, you can find some commonalities, like the collard greens. I grew up eating collard greens. I was raised by my mom. Her family is from North Carolina. They made some collard greens,
Well,
cabbage.
Yes, all of that, is the African connection, throughout, the enslavement, I would say, when African came to the New World, in a way, they brought with them seeds and different things, and that migrated with them to America. So definitely there is a connection and influence. The collard green, I would say, though, this is very much North American collard green. What we know back home in Ethiopia is a little bit more smaller, but I would say smaller and
is it more
not
like
as rough as this.
Okay.
Not
like a
close.
callaloo kind of? Like a callaloo?
Maybe, something of that nature. And it grows wild in people's backyard and so forth. But the connection is there. Of course, the cabbage and the potatoes and so forth. Yeah.
And the seasoning.
Seasoning. Well, as we said earlier, the berbera, the chili, which was the shirva, the spicy pepper, which bringing this color to us, the origin of it is East Africa. And eventually it traveled throughout the world, and every cuisine almost adapt this type of chili pepper. When I mean chili is spicy pepper. And that is, a number one staple within the Ethiopian cuisine, which within that you blend the other spices, as I indicated. And with this particular spice blend, you're gonna cook mainly your red lentil to make it a bit spicy, or your shiro, the ground chickpeas, and of course the national dish, the dorowat, which is hearty and spicy and so forth. So we Ethiopia did contribute and gave a lot of beautiful things to the rest of the world as an African country, and we need to celebrate that.
Get the shoulders in.
Yeah, shake, even the Harlem Shake.
Right.
That's our music. Look at that. We are fashionable, trendy all the time. It never goes away.
It's not DNA, of course. And then, of course, to go back to the coffee, I heard that Ethiopian coffee is like really good for your gut health. Is that true?
Coffee drinking is it within the culture.
Okay.
So there is a whole ceremony around it. People drink it 3 times plus a day.
Wow.
So there is a whole ceremony. What I mean by that is you wash your green beans, right? And then you roast them. And after that, you grind it, and you are gonna boil it in a very special pot called jabena.
Okay.
And then you're gonna serve it in a very unique cups, sine, which is, or finjan, to drink the coffee with. And that is, while people, when they're roasting the coffee, you have to sit, there's a whole gathering. You don't just have your shot espresso and run. So when there is a coffee roasting, you sit, you bless the host, and even you have a snack around it. And then the first cup of coffee will be the strongest, and then you have second, and you have third. So you have to, when you are invited to a coffee ceremony, you have to stay there at least for 3 cups.
Oh my goodness.
And don't go there in a hurry. If you want to leave in a hurry, it's not the place, because it's disrespectful for the host just to live in the middle. It's like Japanese tea ceremony. I never been, but it seems it has a meaningful, I would say, process, and to respect it and understand it and stay there.
Awesome.
And again, Ethiopia is the birthplace of coffee again, if in case I didn't mention that.
We want to talk about the music now. Of course, we hear about the food, but I mean, food, music, culture, they're all together. And you were playing some Ethiopian jazz earlier. Was that jazz, or was that more like contemporary?
It was a traditional contemporary, but we play all type of musics. And I would say one of the Ethiopian jazz is the Ethiopic. And the influence in a way is back, I would say, in the 40s, 50s. A lot of people travel actually to Harlem. A lot of
Black American artists would like work with different African. Well, go ahead. I'll let you.
Yeah, sure. I would say a lot of the influence. I would say the base for all of that, the Ethiopic, the jazz throughout West Africa is actually Harlem. It's the U.S. And then kind of they branch out in West Africa. For like example, Fela Kuti. It been listening to other musicians here from the U.S. and kind of infuse it with the traditional native music and so forth. So say vice versa on the Ethiopic jazz. Is the influence for the West as well, incorporating with the traditional music, which create beautiful sounds that you cannot stop shaking.
Do you think, this is going to sound a little ratchet, so I watched this reality show, and there's an Ethiopian artist on it, and he's in New Jersey now, but because he got married to an American woman. There's a whole thing. But he's an artist, but I feel like he's kind of introducing people more to an Ethiopian sound, but it's contemporary. So like he raps, he sings, he dances, and it's very distinct. It's not, you can tell it's not Afrobeats. So I'm using that to kind of segue into, do you think at some point Ethiopian music will come to the world like the way Afrobeats is starting to explode?
I believe so, because it has a very unique, distinct sounds and notes and so forth.
Sketchy.
Yeah, you can't sit and listen to it. You have to do something. I think that will be the next hip genre, I hope.
Ethiopia to the world.
Yes, Ethiopia been there all the time, but even better, with food, with music, cultural, and so forth. We're here to do so, to showcase the rich history of Africa and Ethiopia as a whole.
Ethiopia is definitely on one of my lists of places to visit in Africa. I've been to Ghana, I've been to Togo, but I have not been east
Well,
yet.
you need to.
South, we're gonna make that happen.
Wonderful.
And on that note, we are going to end this Intersections with a thank you for being so very gracious to us and walking us through your cozy business and explaining the intersections between Ethiopian culture, African American culture, and how we are all not as different as we sometimes like to think. We have a lot in common in good food, good music, good vibes. So thank you.
It's a pleasure.